Hey guys, I'm Jira Schofield and I'm the Unicorn Oracle. And today I want to talk to you about acceptance, allowance, and sexuality. Before I begin, I just want to thank my mentor, Pamela Aaralyn, for, really transforming my life as a Reiki energy healer and so much more. And the information that I'm about to share is accredited to her, so understand that a good source of the information is coming from her, and I want to give her credit for that. And you can also find her at PamelaAaralyn.com and every basically social media platform, and you can find me at theunicornoracle.com. You can find me on Instagram, Unicorn Oracle, the Unicorn Oracle, also on Facebook and YouTube, since this is where it's going. As I begin, I just want people to respect what I'm about to share, and know at the end of the day that love is love, and that's all there is to it. And I want to start with a quote from Socrates that says, "I cannot teach anybody anything, I can only make them think." So that's really what this video is about, is to make you think, to open up your mind, and just to don't limit yourself. And I've gone through a process myself in different ways of limiting myself, false limiting beliefs, either that I've put on myself or just through, living in today's world. So, the first question I want to ask is, where are you resisting? Yes, this may make you feel uncomfortable, and this video may trigger you, and I'm going to say good. But resistance comes from not accepting. So acceptance and then allowance. So, both can go hand in hand in different ways depending on the situation. But I would say more than anything, it's really allowance. But before we can get to a place of allowance, we need to accept. Accept yourself, accept the situation, accept, the circumstance that life is predominantly teaching you, and take it for that. So one recent thing that I have learned to accept from myself is my sexuality. Now, if you know me personally, I'm not really one for labels. Yes, they're good to describe things to people and clarify things, but for the most part, what I'm share with you, I don't really want to confine myself into any one thing. So I have learned that love is love, and if you love someone, it doesn't really matter the sex, the gender, the race, the culture, the belief. Love is love, and that's all you can do, and it's not really controllable. Just like I am who I am. So what I've recently learned of who I am is love, and I love humanity. What do I mean by I love humanity? I am attracted to all of humanity, basically. So I am attracted to a gay or straight woman. I am also attracted to a gay or straight man. So basically, I'm attracted to anyone as the person, not the sex or gender or race or culture or economical status or how much money. I'm not attracted to that. I'm attracted to the person as a whole being, and I hope other people can see that too, in dealing with either different sexualities, interracial relationships, different economical statuses, so the class system. I'm trying to think of other situations, maybe just religion in itself, like someone's belief, and it really doesn't matter where someone is from. They could be on the other side of the world, and you have this moment with them and you create this amazing connection. It's hard for people to really, I think on a human level, understand that. But if you understand it from a heart level, then you will know what I'm talking about, that we are just who we are, and we are just love, and it's as simple as that. And I don't need to put myself in a box, and literally not in a box. I'm like free many different ways than I realized I was. And recently I was resisting this, and some other things too, but since I'm talking about sexuality in particular, that was very recent for me, and I didn't initially understand it, but then I was like, I need to keep this simple. Love is love, and that's it. It doesn't matter. And I am who I am, and you are who you are, and this is my truth. My truth is not your truth. You need to find your own truth. And I think that's where in society, no matter where you're from, we get caught up in other people's truths. So this can go from someone's truth about religion, someone's truth about their sex, someone's truth about their race, to the point of someone's truth about working out, if you're trying to lose weight or gain weight, food, if you're trying to make your nutrition or increase your nutrition from a higher quality. What works for me doesn't work for you, and that goes into self-care. I try and regularly get massages, and just because that works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Same thing when it comes to people who have diseases, dis-ease. The prescription drug that works for someone doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone. And more people are realizing that. And that's not to take away from some of the amazing doctors out there that perform these amazing, surgeries. So it's just, people are trying to put people in a certain prescription box, basically, and prescribing and describing them that they have to be this certain way because it worked for me and this is my truth, it's going to work for you, and that's not the case. And people are trying to find, I'm stressed out, I'm this, I'm that. Well, maybe you're not. And it's actually going within yourself and figuring out who you are. And anyone who has worked with me thus far knows that I am going to push you just like I did in tennis, and that I'm not here to give you an answer, which can be frustrating for most people, because they want a specific answer. They want a cookie cutter answer, and that's not. We're each an individual. Yes, we're all connected, but we're each a unique individual fingerprint, right? So what in my sessions, what I found is certain people that I'm pushing and triggering are not really liking it, and that's okay. I as a tennis coach, I had the same reaction with players, and at different times they did not like me, but I knew what was best for them, and finding at that time was basically their game style, or getting ready to compete in a tournament. I was preparing them physically, mentally, emotionally, and I do the same thing, just in a very different way, through their heart, their soul, their mind, their body, and then ether, which is the whole energy system, the macro and the micro. So at the end of the day, you gotta find your own truth, and there are different exercises that we can do through breathing exercises, actually journaling and writing down things, and you can get even more specific than that. So what I want to move on to the next thing that was specific that I got from Pamela was trust. She did a channeling on Helen Keller, And it was really interesting and very enlightening for me, as I've certain old storylines, aka my back, I've had to release and accept myself as perfect, whole, and complete. And that's what, you know, we each need to find within ourselves, find our own truth, know that you're love, know that you're light. And basically what happens in resistance is we're trying to find some form of trust, but really it's not trust. And this is quote unquote what Pamela said, or I should say abbreviated in certain things, but trust is using a reference point from your past to make valid now. That you are taking a past situation and make it good or bad. And, you know, basically we're not trusting the process because of a past situation, or we are trusting the process because of a past situation that maybe worked for us, or in this case didn't work for us, which is why we're resisting trust. But at the other day, you know, why would you be telling yourself to trust it, right? Like, that's a really interesting concept, because it's not about trust. You know, you don't need to trust something. If you did, it just is. It's not something you have to put effort into. It just automatically is. What we need to focus on is actually let go of the trust and figure out what are we resisting, okay? And whether it's emotional, physical, mental, for some spiritual, for others religious, and so on and so forth. And, you know, allowance comes from releasing the resistance, not the trust. And that was like a light bulb for me in so many different ways, like just in releasing my story, talking about my sexuality, and just me being me. And, you know, I am a Virgo, and for those of you who are into astrology, you know, my sun sign and rising sign are both Virgos, so I'm an extreme Virgo in this case, and most Virgos are very A-type, want to control everything, very analytical. So how did I get to this place where I'm very like, this is me, yeah, you know? You know, by stereotypically saying I'm a control freak, which I'm not. And I would say, one, yes, tennis has definitely taught me adversity, in releasing, you know, the situation that you're in that is literally out of your control. You can only control your controllables. You can't control the uncontrollables. And people are like, yes, I've heard this before. But how do you put it into practice? And that is something you have to figure out for yourself, yes. And there are tools. So yes, there are spiritual life coaches in general, other types of, you know, mental health coaches. There's so many different coaches out there that are there to help guide you, and yes, are more specific, whether it's in health, like chiropractic, or being a doctor, or, you know, being a teacher in a school, you know, there's a fitness coach, you know, learning from other people. And you should never stop doing that, because we are forever changing. So I want to kind of bring it back into resistance again and trust. And basically what happens is we forget that we're living in the moment, and we start thinking about the future, we start thinking about the past, and we want to control it. Or if the past already happened, yeah, it already happened, but it's recycling because we're trying to trust and control the future, when in reality we just need to accept where we are, because we don't know what the future holds. The only thing is being present in this moment. I don't know what's gonna happen when I'm done with this video. You know, maybe, you know, someone calls me and we have this amazing connection, and I don't know, whatever. And we go on a date. I don't know, but I'm just throwing an example out there. But yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen after this video. And you have to get to a point, and that takes work and that takes time. And people are more stressed about the problem than actually just letting the problem go. And yes, this does take practice. It's not something that just happens, which I've said in other videos of mine. Like, to be empowered, you don't just all of a sudden are empowered. You go through situations, and yes, you can, use exercises and tools to help you identify your emotions and certain trigger points, and yes, accepting yourself. But at the end of the day, it's taking responsibility, which most people don't want to do, and that's why my whole life, in other words, I've triggered people. I've even had friends later on that tell me, like, yeah, I had to stop telling you some of the information because you're just like so brutally honest. And I realized that as I got older, before they even told me that. And I was just like, I was like, whoa, people want the truth until they hear the truth. And there's different ways, basically linguistics, that you can use, and that I've started to learn and incorporate, and I did in my coaching as well. So, at the end of the day, I just want to bring it all together. You are who you are, and accept yourself. Accept the situation that happened. If you made a mistake, it's okay. Like, we are judging ourselves or a person as good or bad, and instead of, again, this is from Pamela, instead of what's good or bad, what's working for you and what's not working for you. That's what you need to figure out. And that's in finding your own truth, maybe in a situation, finding the truth of a situation, and through that, it's actually not really finding the truth sometimes. It's just letting it go and releasing that resistance, which puts you into a place of acceptance, and then allowance, and then this freedom and this like flow. And yeah, so if you have any questions about different tools and exercises, you can always ask me. Like I said, my mentor Pamela has helped me with a lot of different exercises, so you can definitely look at her information. Even if this just inspires you or motivates you, like or comment. I love to hear your feedback. I love to communicate with you guys. And at the end of the day, be who you are, not who society, what you think society should make you be. And be the moment. Namaste. Much love.